everybody. Welcome back. Okay, all week long we've been looking at billionaires who are the big players in 2020, the race to the White House. Deep-pocketed candidates and big money donors keep the party machines moving, fueled on cold, hard cash. In focus tonight, Republican donors, because whether they sit on the left or the right, all of their money is green. And all of it is in play. Joining me now, Rebecca Walser, president of Walser Wealth Management and author of the book Wealth Unbroken. Also, Derrick Clay, the CEO of the New Visions Group and chair of the Ohio Legislative Black Caucus Foundation. Welcome to you both. And actually, let me just go ahead and introduce everybody else to Sheldon Adelson, 86 years old, made his money in the casino business. He's worth about $40 billion, went to City College. He wants Republicans elected. I'll go first to you, Derrick. You know, on the right, a lot of folks say the most horrific things about George Soros. A lot of conspiracy theories out there. In fairness, I don't hear that from the left about Sheldon Adelson or a lot of the big-pocketed donors on the right. How do you feel about Sheldon Adelson overall? Good guy or bad guy?
Well, Sheldon Adelson has built his wealth in the casino business, as you said. And, when you're worth $30 billion, $40 billion, what's $100 million to a campaign? I mean, that's really a drop in the bucket to his wealth. So, he's spreading his wealth around for things that he feels that are important to him and the Republican Party. And that's the same as George Soros and some of the other folks on the left side are doing as well.
Thank you, Derrick. And again, I've not heard much about his motivations. There's not a lot of suspicion of him on the left, or maybe I'm wrong. Rebecca, first of all, your assessment of him and what does he ultimately want done? Is he just trying to protect his business, or is this just, hey, I think Republicans are better for the country? What is driving a man who puts this much money into politics?
Well, I think it's beyond just his business. His wife, Miriam, is Jewish, and I know that he is very supportive of Trump's Israeli policies, specifically moving the embassy to Jerusalem as opposed to Tel Aviv, and some other pro-Israeli policies that President Trump is a heavy supporter of. I mean, I think you could probably say this is the most friendly pro-Israeli administration we've ever seen. And I know that that is very important to Sheldon. So I think that is a part of the reason that he's really cares about donating and getting Trump reelected.
All right. And let's move on now to Mr. Koch. The Koch brothers, there's only one Koch left, Charles Koch. Lots of money, although we heard that there was kind of a chill between him and President Trump for a while, but he's warming to Trump since there's been more talk about getting out of Afghanistan. Your assessment, Derrick, about Koch and his motivations?
Having a little trouble hearing you, Greg, but I'll try to answer the question there. So, the Koch brothers, particularly Charles Koch, has not donated a lot of money to President Trump. He's primarily donated his money to other Republican candidates. He spreads his wealth out a lot. Folks on the left aren't very, very fond of Mr. Koch for some of his political stances. But, the thing is, when you have that type of power and that type of wealth, then you can spread your message and your money around to a lot of different places. I mean, we've seen that true with the Bloomberg campaign and some of the things that he's been able to do in a very short period of time and getting into this presidential election late.
Thank you, Derrick. And Rebecca, I'm kind of curious. You've been around these folks for a long time in your book. What is the dynamic between somebody like Sheldon Adelson or one of the Koch brothers and a candidate? Candidate walks in the room, whether it's a senator or a presidential candidate. Is the donor in charge or is the candidate in charge? What is that power dynamic like?
Well, I'm sure the donor would like to think that they're in charge. I think nobody's in charge of President Trump, that's for sure. And I think that there's an appeal. A lot of people are appealed by Michael Bloomberg not taking donations and not having a super PAC or having corporate money in the mix. And that's an appeal. But then you also have, I think you have the biggest, diversity in the Democratic Party, where you've got the, front runner right now, Bernie Sanders, who is actually anti-billionaires, doesn't even think we should even have them. So it's like the widest tent I've ever seen in the Democratic Democratic Party ever. And nobody is going to control President Trump. I certainly don't think anyone's going to control Michael Bloomberg. As far as everyone else that has to rely on, donations, obviously Bernie Sanders made it a big point that he's getting little donations and therefore he's not corporate controlled. But, when you don't have the ability, if you don't have the backing of billionaires, Trump needs more billionaires to step up to the money that Michael Bloomberg has said up to $2 billion he's willing to spend to unseat President Trump.
Interesting. And Derrick, I have heard a lot of demonizing from Democrats, not of necessarily Republican billionaires, but Democratic billionaires, those who are taking, even like candidates taking money. That's a very bad thing right now, at least on the debate stage. It might be different behind closed doors, but that's a vulnerability if you're running for the Democratic nomination and you're taking money from billionaires.
Listen, everybody secretly wants to be a billionaire, right? We're all working hard every day in this great country of ours to make our mark so that we can provide for our families. I was researching, getting ready for the show, and there was a very interesting segment or article that I read that there's over nearly 500 billionaires in our country, which was astounding to me. We still have the laws that say that corporations and PACs can give unlimited amounts of money to PACs and super PACs. That's the law of our land right now, and until we change it, that's the way it's going to be.
Rebecca, that's final word?
He's right. Citizens United made that very clear. And, I would say that I'm not a big fan of any billionaire buying their way into the presidency. So we definitely need more support on the Trump side if he's going to combat the ads buys that Michael Bloomberg is putting up. It's definitely a lot you could buy your way in potentially. So let's see how this goes.
Rebecca Walser, Derrick Clay, thank you both very much. Hey, let's not forget, a lot of these billionaires are very, very generous. Heck, half of Lincoln Center, I think, was put up by the Koch brothers. Thank you both so much. All right.